Let's get started. So the process of applying for jobs is, let's be honest about it, difficult and tough. Okay, anybody in here that says, "No, I apply for jobs for fun," right? Yeah, that's what I thought. Right. So we're going to go over the whole process, starting from where do I find the jobs to apply for, which may seem obvious, but in fact it's not. Then the process of application, and then what do you need? What are the things that are important? And then we'll talk about letters of recommendation, which is an aspect that I find often very seriously wanting. Okay, so this is probably the most useful slide for this part of the presentation, because it gives you the websites there and the places where you can find jobs. Okay, we will make these slides available on the website, so you don't need to worry about that. So of course, one of the best places for this is the linguist list. It is a repository of all things having to do with linguistics. And their job page is one of the best out there. Higher ed jobs is not specific to linguistics, but you can filter and you can look for jobs, and that is also, it covers not just academic jobs, but also administrative jobs and jobs that are neither academic nor administrative. So if you're interested in sort of broadening your search, there's a lot there. And by the way, all these are freely available. The Chronicle of Higher Education also has a website, and again, lots of stuff there. The TESOL Career Center, obviously that's probably the prime place to go looking for jobs in TESOL. AAAL also has a career center, but membership is required for that one. Whereas TESOL, apparently, you can go in and use the website. AAAL, or as we like to refer to them after they turn down Lucy's workshop, the bastards at AAAL. You need membership. I should point out that both TESOL and AAAL have a much broader job hunting services available. If you remember, and you can take advantage of this. Then there's other websites that are more geared towards if you want to go teach abroad, for example. So Dave's ESL Cafe has a page of jobs. And these are going to be like in Thailand, in wherever, right? So if you're interested, if you say, hey, what a great idea it would be to go teach to some country that's not the U.S., that's a good place to look. And then there's this Teachaway place that also, as the name says, it's fairly self-descriptive what they do, right? Then, as it turns out, it's really a good time to be job hunting. I wish we'd had these resources when I was looking for my first job, because believe it or not, we actually had a hard copy listing of jobs from the Linguistic Society of America, and you had to by hand transcribe the addresses and everything. It was like now you just so you can go on ZipRecruiter, Simply Hired, and Indeed. They're all websites that have TESOL jobs listed. I checked, I went there, I put in TESOL, and I got hundreds of hits. Now, needless to say, there's going to be overlap, okay? But this is the first step that you need to do, is look for what's out there, okay? And this transitions nicely in my next slide. It's a lot of work, okay? In fact, a good way to think about it is consider it as a job, okay? And this is, a very good way of looking at it. That is, you will have two jobs while you're finishing your teaching assistantship or your whatever job that you're in now, and you'll be looking for another job. That is another job in itself. Okay, it's going to take the time that a job would take. Okay, now, and this is very important, you should apply for all of the jobs that you're qualified for. Okay, you cannot be too picky. Okay, because you never know. Okay, when I got my first job at Youngstown many years ago, I applied for 40 or 50 positions. When Youngstown called me, I said, sure, I'll be happy to come. And then I was going, what the hell is Youngstown? Okay, I had absolutely no idea. And I ended up staying there for 15 years, and it was wonderful for my career. Okay, so you must apply for all the jobs that you qualify for, even if you don't care about where the place is located. Now, obviously, if you are somebody that says, oh, it's 80 degrees, I'm freezing, don't apply for jobs in Alaska. That's probably not a good idea, okay, or Wisconsin, okay? Probably not a good match for you, right? So don't make yourself miserable. But as, the broader your search, the better the chances that it's going to be successful, okay? I know of cases, tragic cases, in which brilliant scholars, because when they were looking for their job, they said, well, I'm looking for a job, but it has to be in California. And they're no longer in academia. Okay, that is, their job search failed, and after a few years, they found other things to do, and that's it. Okay, so don't do that. And don't be intimidated. If Harvard does a job for which you qualify, apply. You're going to get it? Probably not, but it's worth doing. Okay. One of our students was a finalist and interviewed for a job at Berkeley, which is, basically the best linguistics program in the world. She didn't get the job. All right, okay, fine, but she was one of the 3 or 4 top finalists for the job. So never sell yourself short. Okay. On the other hand, have some jobs that you are not particularly excited about, but that you stand a very good chance of getting. That's what I call a fallback job, okay? Because it is better to have a job that you're not really thrilled about than to be unemployed. Okay, I think we can all agree on this. Now, don't apply for things that you're clearly not qualified. Okay, so if somebody says, we have a position and we need a formal semanticist, okay? You've learned nothing about formal semantics, or marginally nothing about formal semantics in this program, okay? At the most, in 555, I may have mentioned predicate calculus, right? So don't apply for that job. You're wasting everybody's time, okay? But if it doesn't fit your credentials 100%, but you're like 90% qualified, by all means apply. They may be happy to take you because, a job description is just a wish list. Right? And so they'll be like, all right, well, she cannot do X, but she's wonderful for everything else. So let's take her. Right? I mean, it's not an exact science. Okay? Most universities are not going to use computers to weed out applicants. Now, companies like Google and GE and whatever, they do that. Okay? But universities don't do that because they can't afford the software. So we're in luck. You cannot get the jobs that you did not apply for. Okay, that should be your ruling message for this. Apply. Now, be prepared for the process. Okay, first of all, and I know this is a horrible thing, it is expensive. Okay, you're going to have to attend conferences, and going to a conference nowadays is more than $1,000 unless you're lucky and your conference is in, Dallas and you can drive there. And even then, you have to eat out and so on and so forth. It costs. You may need to buy membership for the job fair or to be allowed into the conference, etc. So that also will be expensive, although they sometimes have student discounts. You will need to look good. And by this, I don't mean, your hair or whatever. I mean, like have a suit if you are a male, or a nice dress or whatever it is that goes for a business casual for a woman. Okay, but it's going to be expensive, whatever it is. Okay, and I'm sorry for the women in the audience, the majority of the audience. It is expensive. Okay. I will send to every male student an Italian silk tie to complete, and Dr. Pickering will mail you one of her black cardigans. She only owns black cardigans. That's a joke. But so the other thing is that it's going to take way longer than you expect. Okay, that is, you say, you may have images of yourself dashing off a couple of letters of application. No. It is a slog. It's going to take forever, and you will cry bitter tears while you're doing it. So be prepared for that, okay? So it's not a good time to get married exactly at the same time that you are applying for jobs, okay? That's a major mistake. Or have a kid at that time, okay? Or do anything else that requires a lot of time, okay? Because you will need all the time to do this. Remember, it's like another job, okay? They will look you up on the internet. It's illegal, they'll do it, okay? So just be prepared for that, okay? So you may as well play it on your side, okay? So create a LinkedIn profile. If you already have one, edit it, upload your most recent CV, upload a good picture of you, not one where you're chugging a can of beer, that sort of thing. Do not put things with like selfies with bunny ears and that kind of crap. Look at your Facebook from the perspective of an employer. Would I want to hire this person? If necessary, delete the account. Okay, if you have pictures of you, drinking, what's it like doing the stand on the keg of beer? Dr. Hempelman.
Yeah,
keg stand. Thank you. I knew you would know. So if you have pictures of you doing a keg stand, freaking delete the account. Okay, or you will not get any jobs. Okay, let's be totally honest about what we're talking about.
But what if the potential employers like drinking themselves?
They're not. And then you don't want to work for that person because you'll end up in deep trouble. One option, I've never used it, but I know of people that do, is to create an online portfolio and upload even your letters of recommendation or your materials, etc. And then the portfolio just sends the whole thing to the institution. The advantage is it saves enormous amounts of time. The disadvantage is that it's impersonal. Okay, and so personally, I would not do that. I think that the old-fashioned way of just sending a specific letter targeted to the specific job for the specific institution is still the way to go. Okay, but now we are in the domain of the opinion. Okay, but very seriously, be careful because they will look you up on Facebook and on social media. Do a Google search with your name. See what happens. Now, this is the crucial factors. First of all, the letter of application. We're going to talk about this in a minute in another presentation. We do read them. I've done at this point hundreds of job searches. We do read the letters of application. The CV. You have to be super careful about that. And again, there's another workshop on specifically on how to do a CV or a resume. And it's really the most important thing because we're going to read through that thing and use any excuse to reject it. Okay, because remember this, for every job that is out there, hundreds of people apply. Okay, so what the committee is doing really is looking for reasons to throw people out. Okay, it's extremely rare that it's the other way around. Interviewing, and again, there's another workshop on this, but that's the basic screening. Basically, we want to talk to you either on the phone or face-to-face to answer the basic question, is this person a raving lunatic that's going to make me regret the day that I hired them? That's why you're interviewing. Okay, again, let's be totally honest about each other. It's not about to find out, how clever you are or how motivated you are, etc. Although, if you find that out, that's a good thing. But the main reason for the job interview is this person a raving lunatic? Hopefully the answer is not, and then we hire you, okay, if you qualify for the job. And then the letters of recommendation, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit because we don't have a workshop on that yet. Okay, so how do you get a good letter of recommendation? Well, first of all, you have to ask the right teacher for that, right? It needs to be somebody that's been your teacher. They must know you. Now, you may think, okay, well, that's obvious. No, it's not. Okay? I have had in my career students come up to me and say, Dr. Attardo, I was in your class, insert random number of years ago. Would you write me a letter of recommendation? And I'm like, who are you? Okay? Not good. Okay? If I don't know who you are, my letter of recommendation is going to be student so-and-so attended my class. He got a grade of A. I don't remember him doing anything stupid in class. Okay, well, that's a letter of recommendation, but not one that you want to have. Okay? The other thing is, please make sure that the person that you ask and that knows you thinks you're smart and thinks that you're good and that you should get jobs. If they think that you suck, both as a human being, as an academic, don't ask them to write a letter of recommendation for you. And again, that's happened to me. Students that I told them that I considered them to be cretins, then they come and they ask me for a letter of recommendation. And I'm like, you don't understand how this works, do you? Okay, but so if you have two faculty members, one that you did very well with and the other one that you didn't, ask the one that you did well, because that's your chance of getting a good letter of recommendation. Okay? Now, the other thing is make sure that this person has good standing in the academic world. If the person that you're asking to write your letter of recommendation is a pariah in the field, you don't want a letter of recommendation from them. It's going to reflect badly on you that you associate with that person. Okay? And then it should be relatively recent. Okay? Again, if you get a letter of recommendation from somebody that was your advisor 10 years ago, they may say, well, 10 years ago, that person was really brilliant and had lots of promise. I have no idea what they've done in the past 10 years, right? That's not good, okay? You want the person to be, ideally, from the last institution that you were in and that you work closely with the person. So, in other words, your thesis director, your dissertation director. That's the first person that you should ask, okay? Now, if you don't have a letter from, let's say you did your PhD here and you did your master's at Podunk University, famous university in Iowa, and all your letters of recommendation come from Podunk University and none from A&M Commerce, that's a red flag. I mean, as a search committee, I'll be like, oh, okay, this person, for whatever reason, something must have happened in their last institution, and I don't want to know what it is. You see, that's how search committees function. Ask the person that you're going to ask them to write a reference before you send in, you put their name down as a reference. Okay? I have had people call me on the phone and say, so-and-so put you down for a reference, and I'm like, really? Okay, don't do that. That's very, very bad form. And then when you ask a person, provide them with the job description that you're asking them to write a letter of reference, your current CV, and the application letter that you're sending. Okay, because I, for one, will craft the letter of recommendation to the job and to the applicant, so that it makes actual sense. If possible, meet with the person that you are asking. Don't just send an email and say, hey, I'm applying for jobs, do you mind being my reference? That's not good. Okay, you should remind them Why did they like you in the first place? Okay, remember the time that I brought you a tray of baklava? Yes, so right. Yes. Okay, what if you manage to get through, your program, your master's, your PhD, and you have no close connection? All right, that's not good. First of all, the real question is what's wrong with you that you didn't get the close connection? No, I'm joking, but it's not a good situation. So if you are in a situation like that, pick somebody in whose class you got an A, right? I mean, that's better than somebody whose class you failed. Okay, and again, I say this because students actually have done this to me, right? I flunked them in the class and they came and asked me for a letter of reference. I'm like, sure, I'll write you a letter of reference, flatter them. That always works. Okay, how many students have gotten letters of recommendation from me saying, Dr. Attardo, you're the best looking professor I've ever had? I'm like, oh, how lovely. Don't ask a random person. Okay, you're applying for an academic job. Don't ask your pastor, your Boy Scout leader, your bartender, and so on and so forth. Okay, they may think highly of you. They may say, this person is wonderful, but that's not a good idea to have a letter of recommendation from them. It's an academic job. Okay, if you have to, if you really have no academic references, as I said, that's bad. But the fallback would be ask somebody who was, like, for example, your boss in a corporate job. Okay, that's okay. I mean, but then you want to be super careful. If your previous job was flipping burgers at McDonald's, you don't want that letter of recommendation. Okay, I mean, then you're really in trouble. Okay, if any of those situations are, talk to us. We can help you. And usually you're going to need at least 3 letters of recommendation. Never ask a family member to write you a letter of recommendation. That is, basically, it's like saying, please kick me out of the pool of applicants. Okay, it's just not done. All right. The most important resource that you may not realize that you have is actually the faculty, us, right? Why? Well, first of all, we have a vested interest in your success as a student, right? We want you to get jobs, okay? So we're going to spend some energy and time and effort to help you get jobs, right? Because we want you to get jobs. We have a lot of expertise, okay? In my case, because I was in administration for 10 years, I've read more job applications and CVs and whatever than any human being should ever have. But as a result, I can tell you a lot about the mistakes that one can make in writing all of those and interviewing and so on and so forth, right? So I can tell you what not to do, right? Also, we have networks, okay? And research has shown, by the way, that most jobs are found through a friend of a friend. Okay, so it's never like your best friend that gives you the job, but it's a friend of your friend. Okay, so networking is super important. Okay, but so we have networks, and so we hear about jobs and positions and whatever that you may never hear about. Okay. Now, on the other hand, be respectful of the time of the faculty, okay? We're not your therapist, coming to us and saying, oh, I'm a failure, even though I got the PhD, I really am not worthy of teaching, Yeah, don't, okay? Or feel free to come to me. I'm very good at handling that. And we're not your mother, father, other family member that you like, etc. Okay, that is, we don't play that role. Okay, so be careful about that. That is, don't assume that because we like you and we want you to succeed that we will be your therapist. Now, the other thing is your network. Okay, and so you're like, well, I don't have a network. Yes, you do. Okay, so for example, this event, right? You're attending this event. There are people at this event. You talk to these people. You know these people. You know your classmates. You know the other people in the program. You go to a conference, you meet other people that are going to a conference. Who are those people? Potential employers. Okay? You go to workshops, you go to whatever. Talk to people, right? When it's other academics, you will talk to people. You cannot get opportunities unless you are part of the network in which it's happening. Okay? So you need to build your network, and the time to do that is now. It's not, in 6 months, a year, 2 years, when you're job hunting. When you're job hunting, your network needs to be already there. Okay? And one way of doing that is through Facebook and through LinkedIn. You can network with people that otherwise would not be accessible to you. Now, on the other hand, don't be naive about this. Don't sign up, don't friend Paul Matsuda on Facebook, who's got more than like a million, no, not a million, but like thousands and thousands of followers, and think that he knows you and that, you can somehow leverage your friendship on Facebook with Paul Matsuda. Not going to happen. Okay? Yes.
So when is it acceptable to send a connection request through LinkedIn? Like at what state? Because it's professional, it's not like Facebook where you would have to be
actually anymore, you can send it to anyone because I'm getting sales calls on LinkedIn at this point. So at first LinkedIn was very difficult about who you could send. Now they've basically relaxed it completely, and you can send it to anyone. As long as you're an academic, they're an academic, you can do that. But again, it's a very low level of connectedness. But does it help? It doesn't hurt. All right, so as I was saying, your network is really important, and now is a good time to start building it. All right, any questions? All right, very good, thank you. So that concludes this workshop.